All right, we made it, day number 7. And if you're still here with me, I appreciate you so much. Our last stretch for our spine, our mid to upper back, is a very, very nice one. You don't need any equipment and you're down on the mat. I'm going to talk you through the setup. I'll do a few reps. And what I'll do then is turn around so you can see the movement from behind. Okay, you'll get to look at that nice movement through your back where it's coming from. Start position is down on all fours. Sit back on your heels. I'll start with this outside arm, hand goes behind my head, and think of opening and closing the book, and you are the book. Elbow to the ground, and then try and point up towards the ceiling. As you do it, this is 1 rep. Not too fast, not too slow. This is 2. I'm trying to look towards the ceiling and point my elbow towards it as well. I guess something that's similar we did in the previous days is that 180. There's that lovely movement here of through your upper back. You would go all the way through the reps on this side. It could be 8, it could be 10. And again, your hand goes on the back of your head. You're trying to close over, touch the ground, and then open up. That would be 1 rep. This is 2. I don't know if you can hear, there's a couple of big cracks that have happened there. And you would work through that. If I flip around and go through this outside side, if you watch my back, that nice bit of movement. If you're a little bit stuck and you go through it and you only get to here, that's the whole point of everything in this, is to help you open up and move a little bit more freely. Again, I'm sitting back on my heels and then I'm gonna open and close. Not too fast, not too slow. Never be afraid to kind of pause at that top position and work through it. So I've just shown you from behind where you can see the movement coming from through your back. That's really, really important. I guess the only fault I see with people doing it is just going through it too quickly. There has to be purpose to all of them, and you're really trying to open up. That's actually called the QER. I need to come up with a better name, but that is our first stretch on day 7. Okay, stretch number 2 is an amazing stretch for your hips. If you don't have a bench, I would recommend that you pick any other hip stretch that you like from throughout the week. So from the previous 6 days. I was trying to think, could you do this on a couch or something like that? But it really needs to be a very stable, flat surface to go through it properly. That's really, really important. If you do have a bench, fantastic. If you go through it and you feel like you can't do it properly either, or if there's kind of any big struggle doing it, just pick another hip stretch. If you can, that's great. Your start position is going to be near the end of the bench. I will have my hand placed here on the bench with a nice pillar of support to hold myself up. That's important. Okay, so this leg will stay on the ground. Where the space is on the bench, you'll try and out to the side, get that leg up. My heel is planted. You definitely can't have it in too close or it's not going to work. So the foot will be a good bit away from you. Like this is past a 90-degree angle. It's like that whole thing of some stretches, there's a sweet spot you need to find. So it's not going to be too far out. You can't do it too far in. You need to find that sweet spot. I'm trying to keep my heel close to the edge of the bench. What I'm going to do, keep myself propped up. You can lean back a little bit if you need to, is drop this knee off the bench, pivoting on my heel, and then open is 1 rep. Controlled, drop off. It's a rep. All right. It's that nice movement of sweeping out and in, opening up your hip. I guess it's like that. You can almost equate it to the band step over, that sweep open. It's called internal and external rotation of the hip. And it's that movement that, unless you're trying to do it in a stretch like this, if you're just like sitting or driving or anything like that, it's very kind of rare that your hips will go through this range of motion. And that's why it's so valuable. As I've gone through it, my heel has kind of moved away from myself. It's not a big deal. You're trying to find that foot position where you can actually go through the movement. Any grief or anything like that doing it, or even getting set up, pick another stretch. But it's a really, really valuable one. If you're someone who trains and you have a bench and you're kind of used to stretching, try and go through this. I found when I tried this the first time, I was pretty awkward going through it. I could do it, but it felt awkward. And then as soon as I've had it in now for the last few weeks with my program, times I put stretches in and I'm like, they're so valuable. I find it really, really hard to take them out. So this has been in for a while. You should be able to see it better from this side in terms of this hand is a pillar of support, and don't be sitting on the edge of the bench where you might fall off. Start position, the space is here, and that leg goes up into the space, onto the bench, pivoting off my heel on this foot, and put this free hand here if you need to. Don't be afraid to lean back a little bit. You're not trying to stay like rigidly upright. And you'll drop your knee off, the element of control. When I drop my knee off, it gets to a point where I can't go any further. And then you'll open back out. And that movement that's good for our hips is this movement of opening and closing, which again, if you're not doing this specifically in a stretch like this, like you're never really going to do it. And it's really, really nice. I think I might give you about 8 reps here. It could be something like that. And you'll do the reps on one side and then on the other. If you run into any trouble doing it, just pick something else. All the other hip stretches are really, really valuable as well. But that is our hip stretch for today, and it's called the seated hip pry. Movement number 3 is for our shoulders. I have a set of light plates, 2.5 kilos, and I would not go above this. I have 1.25 plates in the corner. I would use them. I would not use anything above this. 2 to 3 kg. If you have dumbbells that weight, that's cool. Like 5 kg dumbbells, I probably wouldn't even use them. With your shoulders, this is a movement. It's like a warm-up movement as well. And yeah, it just, on your shoulders, it can be a little bit tricky as soon as you start to load things up. So that's really important that it's light. Again, if at home, you could have 2 very light objects in hand of the same weight, and that's absolutely fine too. They're called IYTs, and it is the 3 letters, the I, the Y, and the T. Your start position is the plates are down in your pockets. The I, make yourself into an I, back to your pockets, make yourself to a Y of sorts. I probably don't necessarily look exactly like a Y because it doesn't have to go overhead on that Y movement. So you don't need to be up here. Just around shoulder height is cool, but it's that, I guess, Y motion back to your pockets, and then T is out to the side. The I, you can come fully overhead. The Y is more shoulder height, and then the T is shoulder height too. Okay, so that's a single rep. An I and a Y and a T is 1 rep. I'll show you a rep. I, pockets, Y, pockets, T. That's a single rep. I, Y, and T is 2. Even in low reps there, as soon as I start to do them, if I'm like 2 or 3 reps in, straight away I can start to feel it on the backs of my shoulders. And then if your shoulder blades are moving nice and freely, you'll feel it on your shoulder blades too. But really, really important to keep them light. Again, if anything, any movement or stretch doesn't suit you, revert to something else from the other days that do. That is movement number 3 for our shoulders, the IYTs. Day 7, movement 4, the bonus movement. We've come to the end. Thanks, Emil, if you're still here. I have plates, something light, a 5 kg plate, and I might do a couple with a 10 kg plate as well. If you don't have a plate, I guess you could use a dumbbell. Anything kind of light is what's important, and it will be held in close to my chest. You'll understand once I do a few reps, but like everything that we've done, all light. The good morning is great. You'll feel it on your hamstrings. Anything where you fold, your glutes are going to be working, and your lower back is going to build up tolerance as well to folding and bending, which is just amazing, fantastic. This hip hinge movement is probably the hardest movement to learn, and it can be tricky for me to teach people. If you learn how to hip hinge and you can always do it, it's just great. It's great to have that movement and to know it and to understand it, because when we do train, if we do some movements with dumbbells or RDLs or deadlifts or anything like that, it is a hip hinge, and then again, just your kind of movement lexicon, your movement library, you're able to do lots of different things. Good morning, I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to do a few reps. I'll turn around the other way and you'll be able to see what's working from the other side. The setup, plate. I have a plate, it could be a dumbbell, anything that you can hold in tight to your chest. I'll soften my knees. I guess the very simple way of thinking about it is I'm going to push my hips back and then bow forward. And then I get to a point here and I feel big stretch on my hamstrings, and you'll reset. Any kind of hinge like this, you don't want to go down through it too quickly. I always give it a count. I'll always go 4, 3, 2, 1, big stretch on the hamstrings, and then back up to the top a little bit more quickly. 4, 3, 2, 1, big stretch, and then back up. Turn around, you'll be able to see it on my hamstrings here. Little soft knee, bow back, chest forward, big stretch on my hamstrings, and back up. Hips back, bow forward, and back up. As I go through it all the time, I'm pressing that plate in against myself. I will show you it's something a little bit heavier, purely because I am used to doing these. I'll hold it in, and when something's loaded a little bit heavier, you should feel it maybe a little bit more. But I would argue you can do this if you're doing the movement correctly, and it's a hard one to learn. Don't be put off if you're trying to do it and you don't get it. Even if I do this with no weight and I push my hips back as far as I can and bow forward, when I'm here, I can feel it on my hamstrings there with no weight. So that's important too. I think it's like you almost have that movement pattern, that movement mastered. If you can do that, if you can go through a hip hinge with no weight and feel it on your hamstrings, that's absolutely brilliant. I guess that holding the plate in against your chest, I really like it because it keeps your back flat, which is something that you're trying to do in the movement. If you do a good morning, I wouldn't want you to hunch. Okay, I want you to keep your back flat. If you try to do it with no weight, maybe think about pretending that you're holding the plate there, push your hips back, and then stand up. The common fault when you're teaching someone as a coach to see people do with the hip hinge is this thing of like a squat where the knees come down and then you don't feel anything on your hamstrings. A nice one for this good morning is your shin angle. We're getting a little bit technical here, but if you look at my shins, they pretty much stay vertical, and then I come through, I push my hips back, my shins stay vertical. Where it's wrong is as soon as your knees start to come forward and you're trying to do anything like that and you lose that kind of vertical shin, you just don't feel it. It's a little bit of a tricky one. If you can't get it, or even if you do get it and you want to send me a video, I will run my eye over it. The really important thing is that it's slow and controlled and light, and then you can't really go wrong. Our bonus movement, last movement of day 7, is the good morning. Thank you very much if you made it to the end. I really hope that you enjoyed everything. If you've gone through all the days, these days will serve you well all the time. If you drive or sit, or if you feel stiff in any way, I think they're great because you could put 10 or 15 minutes on a clock, throw a mat down, go through these movements, and you'll feel pretty good afterwards. And definitely if you're doing it over time. Any questions or anything like that, any feedback, any videos, please send them on. Thank you so much, and I'll chat to you soon.